My name is Freydun Fred Sultani. Most of you personally knows me as the Straight Edge Reviews owner, promoter, unboxer, and reviewer. However, there are those of you who knows me in the Mortal Kombat online community as the longtime fan and collector that is known as Frey Soul. These are my Mortal Kombat collector videos. Please like, subscribe, share, and also hit that notification button to know when the next time a collector video comes available. Thanks.
Ah, I got my unmuted here. Let me see.
I was
Sound.
just kidding.
Oh, well, no, literally, I was muted.
Well, I was just teasing. I was just doing.
Hey, that shirt looks really familiar.
Okay, I wore this to say thank you. Oh shit.
Oh,
Yeah, there we go. I wore this to say thank you.
well, I appreciate that. I threw my shirt on because I knew that we were gonna. The topic here obviously was gonna be something that we both love. In other words, so
Mortal Kombat.
I'm glad I'm wearing headphones right now because we're upstairs. We're trying to get my daughter to go to sleep, so hopefully we won't be interrupted. In other words, so
I bet. All right, so let's have a contest. Let's see if I can scream so loud that even through your headphones, she'll still wake up and hear it.
Oh, she's not asleep yet, so
Yeah. Okay then.
so you can go
I
ahead.
win. I win.
Oh, how are you, buddy? It's been. When was the last time we got together? Like that? Well, in person was what, 2017?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while.
And then, of course, we were going to recently, until the pandemic happened, we were talking about that last year, I think, if I recall.
Yeah, there's always, I think that whole coronavirus lockdown thing changed a lot of people's plans.
Oh, yes, yes.
Have you gotten the vaccine yet?
I have. So I've gotten my first shot, and then the day before my birthday, the 29th of March, I'll get my second one. So it'll be an early birthday present, I guess, in some way, shape, or form. So
There you go. Yeah,
yeah.
I got my first one too, waiting on part 2. So I
Yeah.
guess a lot of people are in that boat now.
Yeah. So my wife will be getting hers, I think this week, if I recall, her first one. So she'll get her round one, and then the second one, I don't know, actually. I don't know.
Well, I like how you just did that. You tied it back into Mortal Kombat. She's gonna get round 1, and then couple weeks later, round 2.
That's right. That is
All right.
right.
Awesome.
So, well, I mean, I know this thing is recording right now, and I'll do my best to try to. I'm not good at video editing here like you and others are, but
I'm not good at video editing either. I barely know how to do it.
well, I try. I just got the software and everything, so maybe
It's
maybe
tricky.
it is tricky. It is very tricky.
You know what you do? You just keep fucking up a bunch of times and say, I'll fix that in post. And then when it comes time to post, you're like, yeah, never mind.
Yeah, that's one of those. It's like that's why I do like my hobbies on the side or whatever. I don't do the edited videos. I try to, if I can edit, great. If I can't, screw it. It's
There you go.
It's a hobby. I mean, that's what I do. The besides my MK Frey Soul stuff, and then I keep my hobby stuff on the other side, which is the Straight Edge Review stuff. So
yeah, that's cool because I feel like I'm going to do one Mortal Kombat channel. I'll just talk about the lore and, any of my collection stuff. If I can squeeze that in there when it makes sense, if it relates to the topic, then absolutely.
yeah. Yeah, so that's one of the
You've
things.
got the Straight Edge Reviews and you've got the Freysoul stuff. So you've got 2 channels. I hope you guys who are watching are subscribing to both of Freysoul's channels and mine too.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, definitely we'll have it our channels in the description of this video. So yeah, so hopefully my Straight Edge is gaining oh my god, subscribers, and same with the Freysoul is getting there. So it's a challenge. It's like if I put them together, then I have over 100 subscribers, in other words. But since
Yeah.
I'm just now pushing to get more subscribers, it's like I got to do more work on one channel and then do more work. It's like,
You got to do both.
yeah. So it's like, if you want to put the effort in, which channel are you going to show favoritism in? And unfortunately, right now the the hobby channel is kicking off, in other words. So, but
Well, whatever people want to see, wherever you're getting your subs, concentrate on that. Give the people what they want.
yeah. So that's why I'm hoping that with the attraction with the new movie coming out and everything, hopefully I'll get into the more rhythm. And I still also need to do the interview with my wife, the whole spouse one that that everyone was like looking forward to doing, but it never happened because we just been putting it off because our schedules are just so crazy that we can't get together and sit down and
You'll get it one of these days.
Yeah.
Just hire a sitter or do it. Time it when your daughter's at a sleepover. See, there you go.
Well, I was gonna say, mother-in-law always wants to have daughter over, so hey, works that way.
You got this.
So let's get into the purpose of this episode, which I think is
yes. What is the purpose? Tell me.
So the purpose of this is to interview you, my good friend, who I've known since the mk5.org or
Long time. Going back a long time.
But that's digital, and then we physically, met in person. But obviously since then we've just have this, good friendship. In other words, brotherhood. I just read somebody posted saying, if you've been friends with someone longer than 5 years, it's more of a family affair or family relationship. In other words,
Yeah, it kind of does. It kind of is like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's kind of how I say recently or in the years is like I have my MK family, I have my personal family, and then I also have other families too. Like I have a wrestling family, I have a Power Ranger family because I'm into all these realms of all these other
in a lot of different communities.
Yeah, so it gets a little crowded.
It's a big family.
Yeah. So, but yeah, this episode, what is it? I think it's episode 10, if I recall. So I'm at that milestone, in other words, with these episodes. I wanted to get you interviewed here, being the fan, the lore master, in other words, because I see you as more of the lore master of MK. So the go-tos of people have asked, I see on Twitter, ask you certain questions about things, and then obviously you would months later or so, or maybe sometimes you usually do it really quick. Put out a YouTube video answering those questions in a great resource friendly, video, in other words, of
yes, thank you.
So
I love the Mortal Kombat lore. It's kind of what drew me in. It's one of the things that drew me in from the very first installment of the franchise. And whenever someone asks me a question like over Twitter, usually I try and give them a good answer, and if it's a simple answer, I will answer it just directly right then and there. Yeah. If it's a more complicated answer, if it's going to take a while to explain, too much for a tweet or two, I could just turn it into a whole video to answer their question. It's like, well, here you go from the very beginning. This is everything. So yeah, and when I do a video, I like to include as much evidence of what I'm saying to back it up. I don't just talk and say, okay, this is the answer. Boom, boom, boom. I don't just say it. I show it. I go with screenshots or video footage of the game, or like a scan from a comic or a magazine, or show like a statement from one of the developers. I always like bring it with me. You know what I mean? I show my receipts.
Yeah, that's what's great about what I love when you make a state, or not really a statement, but a history lesson, in other words, of the topic, in other words.
Yeah, I'll back it up.
Yeah, so that's what's great about having that friendship with you. So it's like, say if I get hit by a truck or something, I lose some memory of Mortal Kombat, pop up a YouTube video and I'll learn a little bit more about, relearn, I should say, about the comics and characters or whatnot in their background. So it's
hopefully that'll never happen, but
no, I hope not either. But for new and upcoming or new fans who are just joining the series from like the last 3 installments of the game, if they didn't know the previous, like what it was like in the early 90s or whatever, your channel is definitely one of those channels that I would probably highly recommend to. And I think it's the only channel because I don't really, and there could be other channels out there or other people who.
Oh, there's some other good ones, sure, but going back to what you're saying, Mortal Kombat 9 is a good jumping in point, and I think a lot of new fans to the franchise came in, and that was 10 years ago now, 2011. So there's a lot of people who, Mortal Kombat 9 is like a good starting point for the new timeline for sure. And if people want to learn more about the old timeline and say, hey, in Mortal Kombat 9, this is what that line means. This is what MK9 was referencing there. Like they'd make a lot of references to the 3D era. And of course, going back to mythologies, if you really know your Mortal Kombat lore, you can say, oh, that was a reference to this. This is a reference to that. You can kind of put it all together.
Yeah. So your YouTube videos are definitely a good, I would say a good reference point as well, besides the games, because, you reference even the past stuff. And that's why, I recommend it. I'm sure, other groups or other projects have referenced you for help with their projects, in other words.
Yeah, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so that's my tip of the hat for you, in other words. I actually probably have several hats around here that are Mortal Kombat hats, but that's so obviously you probably are straight ahead and just answering the questions already. How long you've been a fan? Obviously since the what's the best word to say? Since it came out to arcade, MK1.
Well, technically, since MK1 came out on home systems, but yeah, I've been with the franchise since the very beginning, since MK1.
Gotcha. So, and you've already answered my second question, which is obviously what interested you in the MK video games. In other words,
we did touch on that a little bit. Yeah, the lore was one of the things that drew me in for sure.
Yeah. So, what at that point, what characters, and you can answer it to now too, what character story is your most favorite to follow, either then or to now? In other words, like what character do you like to watch their character, how they evolve, grow?
Oh yeah, people always ask me like, what's your favorite or whatever, and it's always such a hard question because I love the entire franchise, and it's not just one character's arc that I like to follow, it's how it all fits together. Starting with John Tobias, like he weaves a perfect tapestry. It's not just Scorpion's story that's interesting, but it's how it relates to Sub-Zero and his arc, and how it relates to Quan Chi and kind of the master manipulator that he is, and how he set those two rivalries against each other. And you know what I mean? Like the way it all fits, the way all the characters relate to each other, it makes it so interesting. But one of my favorite things was really, I thought like from the very beginning, Scorpion was a tragic character. Yeah. Because it's like, here's this badass. He takes off his mask and he's a skeleton and he's going to burn you alive. And he's on a unstoppable quest for revenge. And he's not going to stop until he gets it. But at the same time, he can never know his wife and child ever again. And he had to give up on knowing them forever. And it was like, man, he lost everything. And even after he gets his revenge, that doesn't fix it. So that was like one of the coolest things about it.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that drew me in initially.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me, and maybe this is just a quick, asking you for a reference, because I keep, what intrigues me is where Mythologies obviously tells that story about what happened with Sub-Zero, where he, where he is. So what I was trying to get with that, or going with Mythologies, in other words, is that point where Quan Chi mistakens, or transforms into Sub-Zero and leads to kill his clan, Sub-Zero's clan, the Lin Q, or that other way around, Scorpion's clan, the Shirai Ryu. Like, where was Sub-Zero at that point? Like his actual Sub-Zero, what we knew was Kuai Lang, right?
Bihan, it was the older one.
The older one. So where was he at? Is my always go to, like, now they keep rehashing the story or retcon stuff or whatnot.
They do, yeah.
And so I guess my question would be, and you may have answered this in the past, but where do you think the original Bihan was during that time?
Okay, I'll tell you. I understand what you're saying. yeah, what was the older Sub-Zero beyond? What was he doing with Scorpion's death? And to me, Mortal Kombat Mythology's Sub-Zero explains it. You play as Sub-Zero, you kill Scorpion, you do a decap to him. They fought
I
over the
remember
map
that.
of elements, and from there, Scorpion wants to come back, and so he does. I think that is the canon story, definitely for the old timeline. The new timeline seems to kind of harken back to that a lot too. But what a lot of people now have the story is it was Quan Chi disguised as Sub-Zero, and he kind of framed Sub-Zero for a crime he didn't commit.
Yeah.
That's one way to play it. That's how they kind of did it with MK Legacy, and that's kind of what they're doing again with MK Scorpion's Revenge. And if you're one of the newer fans who maybe knows the newer games, like the last 3 installments, like you said, and maybe knows some of the newer media like that, like those kinds of MK Legacy and MK Scorpion's Revenge, that's the version that Quan Chi set him up.
Yeah.
And that's are they trying to say in the games that that's like the new canon? I guess that's one way you could interpret it, right? It's kind of ambiguous now. So there's no real Mortal Kombat. There's no like real way that it all went down. But to me, the definitive version is how they told it in mythologies.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good to remember. Like, I didn't know where, I guess, obviously where to piece the whole mythologies with, with all that. In other words, like, with Scorpion's Revenge, and who knows, in the new movie, in other words, they're doing an explanation of Scorpion's death again, or his clan's, the decimation or whatever. Who knows how they're going to explain that, because they're saying that that's going to be a new universe, if I recall, right?
It has to be, right? Like, this new movie, this can't fit in with the old movies. This can't fit in 100% with the games either. Just the fact that we've got a new explanation for Jax's arms, that tells you, okay, this is its own thing.
And that's number what? How many times has his arms been? It's like, what? I think you counted it. I think it was like 5.
Yeah. And then I thought about it a little bit more. Technically, his reasons for doing it in MK3 and MK Annihilation were slightly different. So you could maybe stretch it out to say 6. We'll say 5 or 6, 5.5.
Okay. And then like and which brings me to my next question, obviously, out of all the retcons that we've gotten with characters, with the most, let's say the most critical was Sindel. So out of all
it really is. That's the one retcon that is most of them are just forgivable. Most of them are like, okay, that's a change, that's different. Sindel's really brought the most backlash to the NRS story writers.
So out of all of those retcons,
yeah,
which one did you, out of all the characters, which one did you like the retcons, and which one that you disliked yourself? And then the bonus question would be, which one would you retcon if you had a choice? In other words, like now.
This is a great question, dude. This is fantastic. I'm so glad you asked me this. All right, the best retcon was from MK1 to MK2 with Raiden. They took this kind of dark, arrogant version of Raiden. He just wanted to prove that he was the best. He wanted to show that he's not impressed with Shang Tsung's inferior sorcery and Goro's brute strength. He wanted to prove that he was the best. And then after he did, he invited other gods to compete, because now that's his right. And it ruined the earth. Have a nice day. Like, whoa, Raiden, what are you doing? Well, in part 2, he kind of became more of a mentor to the good guys. Now, if you look online on Twitter, you can see John Tobias's sharing his old sketches. Raiden was always designed to be a mentor figure from the beginning. It's just that what actually happened in MK1, it came out a little different than that. And I think MK2, he kind of made Raiden the way he had originally wanted him to be, like, all along. So I think that was a good retcon.
Okay.
And, also, like, if you look at Raiden's story arc where he becomes Dark Raiden, it actually kind of fits with what we know about him in MK1. So it all makes total sense. This John Tobias's original vision, the stuff that they did later in the 3D era, and what they went back to now with the new timeline, it all makes total sense. So Raiden's story arc, and that includes the retcon, is just a wonderful tapestry, and I love it. But what about the retcon that I didn't like? Yeah, that was the second part of your question.
Yeah.
Shang Tsung in Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. And I know people say, well, MK Shaolin Monks isn't canon, so you can't count that. It's like, well, whatever. I think they were trying to make it canon. Now, I was at E3 with MK5.org, as actually MK Online. By that point. But I was there at E3. I remember what the developers were saying, even though there's no written record of it, except for what I was there and I wrote it down on MK Online and I posted it, so it's still there. They hired a comics continuity expert to make sure that MK Shaolin Monks didn't contradict existing canon. That was a thing that they had told us there. And when you look at Shang Tsung, right?
Yeah.
When he failed Shao Kahn in MK1,
yeah,
Shao Kahn was about to execute him. Shang Tsung had like a Hail Mary, basically. He's like, no, wait, I can save this. I can still find a way for you to get Earth. We just have to change the rules a little bit. We can do this, and it won't take another 10 generations. You got to trust me on this. Earthrealm can be yours right now. And Shao Kahn's like, okay, I'm going to go with you on this one. And he gives Shang Tsung his youth. That was awesome. In MK Shaolin Monks, he tricked Liu Kang and Kung Lao into to feeding him soul after soul. Remember? All those people they killed, all the monsters they killed, went into the soul tombs, and then Liu Kang and Kung Lao destroyed the soul tombs. And that was what Shang Tsung wanted them to do. He deceived them. I didn't really like that as much because, first of all, it's a major retcon.
Yeah.
I like the original story, the way it was shown in the MK2 comic by John Tobias and the way it played out in the intro of the game. But also, we kind of just saw Damashi deceive Shujinko in MK Deception's Conquest mode. So to have Shang Tsung be like, oh, well, I'm pretending to be someone I'm not, and I fooled these two Shaolin monks into working for me all along. It's like, well, we kind of just saw that play out a little bit already. This isn't really the MK2 story. It worked in Deception because it was new and different and exciting, and it was a good twist. I felt like it was retelling MK2, but they were trying to introduce MK Deception elements that just didn't quite belong.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that retcon at all.
God, it's been... I really hope that they follow up on Shaolin Monks, but...
Oh, let me... Hang on. I know they do. I would love a remaster of that game, but I did want to give credit where credit is due. When you saw MK9 and you saw Shao Kahn give Shang Tsung his youth back, it's like they fixed it. They unretconned the retcon. They rolled it back and did it the right way. So I do want to give props to them for telling Shang Tsung's story right this time. I loved it.
Gotcha. I appreciate that. And then what about the one that I guess really hasn't been retconned? But if you were to have you got the golden ticket and you say, oh, I get to retcon one character in particular.
Okay, some of the things that they did in MK9 I didn't like putting Nightwolf and Cyrax and MK3 characters, like placing them in the first tournament. I thought that was a little, I guess they had to make the story. I guess they had to make some concessions to make the story work. But you're saying, what if I could retcon? What if I could undo one of the retcons? Which one would I undo?
Yeah, or
probably the Sindel one.
I think you and a million other Sindel fans, I believe.
And when I look at the Sindel fans, I get what they're saying, because it's like, all right, Sindel is supposed to be a caring mother, right? She's supposed to be queen of Edenia. She's supposed to really fight for her realm, and she's supposed to she gave into despair when Shao Kahn took over, and there was no way to fix it. She just killed herself.
And then go ahead.
Well, a lot of Sindel's fans, they like that about her. They like who she was. But where I'm coming from, and I said this in the beginning of the interview, I like the way it all fits together. I like the surrounding events. Sindel's story was important to the surrounding events of Mortal Kombat. When you change Sindel, you change all these other things that are associated with it, that built off of it. And now that kind of just doesn't make any sense. A lot of things that they introduce also sort of fall apart there. Yeah,
and then the whole the other retcons that happened. I mean, saying who killed King Jared. Yeah, it's like, oh my god. And then that led me, I think I don't know if you recall, I made that meme or whatever with the cat and Cameron Diaz, where the cat was, or Cameron Diaz is pointing at, and the cat's like, well, you and 9 other people or whatever was saying that they killed Jared or whatever. So it's like, I wish that they could have just stuck with, whoever originally. And right now I'm trying to think of who originally who killed Jared. Well,
Shao Kahn killed Jared.
That's yes. And
But then
then
it's Devora, and now it's Sindel, and it's like, well, all right. But
yeah, it's like
they
okay.
wanted to make. Okay, look, the thing is, Devora technically didn't say she killed him. That's heavily implied, but it is
But
ambiguous. She didn't
yeah.
directly say it. But they tried to make Devora one of these characters who kills off all the popular characters, like
Oh yeah, Melina.
and Scorpion.
Oh, yeah, I remember
Look,
that.
well, I get it. When you have a new character, how do you show their power level? Like,
Yeah.
So, all right, I don't even mind that about her. Like, I get it. You have to establish that she's a powerful character and she's capable of doing all this. You have to build her up. That's like, how do you build up Kotal Khan? You have to have him go toe to toe with Shao Kahn. You have to show that he at least has a chance to beat him in battle and be the new ruler of Outworld. Otherwise, there's so many A-list characters. How are you gonna get excited about anybody new?
Yeah, it's kind of like in like other series like Dragon Ball or whatever. If you're going to introduce someone who is a brand new character to the anime or whatever, you have to demonstrate how they're so powerful, in other words. And I think
Yeah.
that's essentially what they were doing, is trying to demonstrate how powerful Devora was, or
Yeah, and I think they also wanted to make her into the character that you love to hate too.
Yeah.
I think they knew what they were doing with that. So, it's so stuff like who really killed Jared, the stuff like how did Sub-Zero get his scar, how did Jax get his metal arms. I don't mind these retcons. They can be fun, and it can kind of be fun to retell the story and change it up a little bit and do some retcons. I'm not totally anti-retcon, but sometimes when you have a story that really worked well the first time, and it's like you kind of don't really want to mess with it,
Yeah, well, with the with MK11, with the introduction of a new boss that centrally controls time, you can now say it's because all these retcons now happen because of Chronica, and I mean, loosely say that. I mean, you can't really say it's because.
And I think some of the developers have maybe even directly said that. I mean, and like I don't really complain about the retcons or get upset about them as much as I do just document them, and share them and say what they are. Say, hey, this is the old way and this is the new way, and here's both of them side by side. I just kind of present them. And like whenever I do a video and I talk about this stuff, I kind of say, well, look, this is a way and this is what they said here. This is the new way. This is what they're saying now. That's all.
Yeah,
retcons happen.
Yeah, and that's why, that's a good reference, in other words, is your video. So not to plug it in again, in other words, but
once in a while. I don't want to overdo it, but
so all right, well, let's move on to my other questions. And like literally right before this interview,
this is old school paper and pen, man. Look at that.
Yeah, dang right. I right before, and I was going to do this like while I was at work the last couple of days, but I just come to the last nitty-gritty hour. I wrote all this up, and
that's all right. I'm sure you've been thinking about it. I'm sure you had a lot of head questions.
Yeah, you're right.
Hey, wait, I want to see your shirt.
Okay, so mine is the MK9 shirt.
Yes.
So, but of course, this is one of like the many other shirts. So sometimes
don't we all have like tons and tons of Mortal Kombat shirts in our closets? Isn't that what we do? Closets with a K.
Yes, you're right. And then it's other collectors with a K who also demonstrate online, their shirt collection too. And one of these days I will maybe have a video of all the shirts, in other words. But I feel like it's like, everyone shares what shirts I have already. So really, do I need to really share per se? Which leads me actually into my my next question. I have a 3-part question here, in other words, regarding a collector's items, or an item, in other words, an MK item. So would you say that you're more, and I think you kind of already answered this, more of a collector of an item or the lore, in other words?
Why not both?
Yeah,
why not both? I mean, I definitely have some cool Mortal Kombat memorabilia. I definitely have some collection, some things in the collection. And I've got like a movie prop. I've got one of the spikes that they used for Liu Kang to impale Shang Tsung in the final scene of the film.
Which I just rewatched that was it last night or the night before? I was like, so now I'm in this MK mode. Yeah. So now leading up to the new movie, I'm going to be watching like probably anything MK.
There you go.
Actually, I'm going to be probably rewatching this.
Okay, awesome.
but I need to buy another. I mean, I know it's just a case or whatever, but as a collector, you want that perfect,
You do.
case. So
Yeah, you do. MK Conquest was a great show. It went on for 22 episodes. I loved watching it. Um, I'm trying to think, going back to the collectibles and stuff like that. I've got the original Johnny Cage jacket from MK2. I don't think it's that exact jacket, but only 1,000 of them were produced, and Dan Pesina just happened to have one, so he wore it for MK2 for that one versus screen picture of his.
Oh yeah, yep.
I've got one of those. Like that's legit.
Yeah, I recall that. I recall. I think you even posted about it.
I wore it. Yeah, I wore it in a video that I did talking about Johnny Cage.
Yep.
So yeah, I thought it matched the topic, so that's what I'd put on. Like that's what I try to do. I try to put on a t-shirt or whatever that matches the topic of my video.
Now that's what's awesome about your videos is those little like Easter eggs. I mean,
it is kind of an Easter egg, yeah, because and some stuff that we have in our collection. I've got like the Mortal Kombat X pen that you got me. I've got signed autographs from the casts of the original games. Like I can't really go into every single piece of things that I have in the collection, but I've got a lot of pirate games, like stuff for the 8-bit Nintendo that never made it. I've got there's like ROM hacks and stuff like that I've got in cartridge form. There's so many fun things out there to collect.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing that you've got in your collection?
So the go-to that I always go to as the item that I know really nobody really else has. I don't know if you remember him, Darren, and I cannot pronounce his name, from MK Legacies, who played Kano. He was a good friend who I chatted with on Twitter. And then out of the blue, out of nowhere, he said, "What's your address?" And I would
Are you talking about Damian Coletti?
No, Darren I can't pronounce his name. Shalaloff.
Okay.
So he was in Legacies. He was the he tragically, well, it was like maybe a couple of years after he played the role in MK Legacy. God, I can't think of. Let me see if I can find a picture of him real quick. But to allude to what I was getting to was our conversations on Twitter eventually led to a good going back, how's your family, how's my family kind of deal. And then sorry, as I type in here, he's like, yeah, what's your address? I'm like, oh shit, am I in trouble? I was thinking,
no, you're gonna get a free gift. I see where this is going.
Yeah, so essentially my free gift, in other words, was a picture of himself, obviously, in the Kano coat that he was wearing in Legacy. Let's see if this is the best picture, in other words. Darren Shalevi, that sound right? But let me see if I can get his picture. See if I can show his picture right there.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah. So.
That's cool. That's the little eyepiece for him. Awesome.
Correct. So he's like, out of nowhere, it's just like, okay, here's this. I'm gonna send it to you. And what's your address? I'm gonna send you, an autograph. And he even he's like, I described it to where it's only meant for me only. So which is really cool. So
he made it out to you personally, put your name on it.
Correct. And
awesome.
And it sits in my combat cave downstairs. So
Very cool, man.
It sits up there with the picture. I just recently got to meet, Ed Boon for the first time finally at the reveal party.
Yep.
So I mean, that would be my prized item, in other words. And
that is cool. That is awesome.
The other one was the other item I would say would be the art producers who in Prima Games, when they made books for games eventually, they were looking for the biggest MK fan or whatever. And I actually won that contest, and they sent me out. And I don't know
if that called the Scream It contest?
I don't.
Or is that a different one where people were looking for
like actual video of them screaming, like the Mortal Kombat stuff are you talking about, or?
Yeah.
No. This one was you have to show proof that you were the biggest MK fan. And Prima Games had this deal where you could send us pictures, or you maybe send a video too. Maybe, I don't know. That's where but I don't recall the details. Was I sent pictures of my collection,
So you
and
won.
so I actually won the art prints or the artist proofs of the stage and the book, that collector's edition book that they had for MK9. All signed. One of them is actually a good friend who I met several times. He recognized who I am whenever I see him, Hector Sanchez, who's now
Yep.
with Sony, I believe, if I recall. So, and actually ran into him again at the reveal party, and we caught up pretty, 5-minute conversation. But it was kind of cool that he still recalls who I was, and those kind of little things, are my little like. I mean, besides all the stuff, the MK stuff that I have, I mean, and downstairs and set up on a bookshelf and an entertainment center, the statues, they're all cool, but having those little pieces that are like for you in particular, or to me, I guess in particular, kind of sets all the icon or items apart. In other words, so
Yeah, because those are connected to your personal memories and events that you got to do.
yeah,
And there's a lot of psychology research that says memories are infinitely a better source of happiness to people than belongings and possessions.
yeah,
So yeah, it makes total sense that the stuff that's connected to your memories, the stuff that you actually got out to do and it's connected to an event, those are
mhm,
your favorite things.
yep,
Yeah,
yep. So
perfect.
So that leads me to my next question about with your MK items, and you probably asked the same question back to me, or I probably answered actually with those memorable items, in other words. But if you were to say the last piece that you have of the MK items, what would be that last piece that you would hold until the very end? In other words,
Oh, okay. So like if I had to give up all my Mortal Kombat stuff and only keep one thing, what would it be?
yeah.
Um,
Or it could be an item or a set or
right. I understand. Yeah, because I've got like an arcade machine. That's I don't want to give that up. Um,
I still got to put my one arcade one up machine together. I hope it still I hope it works too, because obviously it's outside of the return
the
policy.
warranty. Yeah. Hey, are you gonna get one of the Supreme editions?
I never found out about that until I saw them on eBay, and I'm
And now they're
like,
expensive.
well, it's like, where was this the whole entire time? And now one
It
up.
did. It was kind of like in secret, right? Like it was a really well kept secret
I
somehow.
think so. I mean, obviously not all the fans like us. I mean, well, I mean, before the last couple of months ago, or last couple of months, I didn't know about the Supreme machine, in other words.
Well, you sound like you still want to get one.
I mean, for the right price. But I'm also still interested in an actual authentic one. So I'm leaning towards like Prince Arcade to help me out with getting one at some point.
You
Um,
could, yeah, yeah, one of the original ones that they would have had in the '90s, like
yeah,
authentic. Yeah, I get it.
but he's also I don't know if you saw on their website or their Facebook that they have this like it's a projector, and you can it literally play anywhere MK or any of the MK games essentially, or you can do the yeah, any other games if you wanted to, or watch movies. But it's essentially the controller, the the actual place of the arcade without the monitor is what it is. And somewhere in the back it projects out the game onto the wall or whatever. And I thought it was
What
pretty
will
cool.
they think of next?
I know, it's like, well, they make the little one up machines or whatnot, and now they're actually going to come out with another what is it called, the legacy edition of the one up Mortal Kombat. And
There's
it's like,
basically a lot of other Midway titles on there now, right?
correct. And the hidden games, that was really cool. So it's like Pong and Galaga or whatever. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, I got the email that says, hey, pre-order, in other words, but I obviously at the time could not pre-order. But I mean, yeah, it's my goal at some point to
So
try
you
to
want to
collect.
get one of those, and then this time I think you're actually going to take the time and set it up, aren't you?
I'm
Not
gonna
just
try
leave it
to.
in a box.
I'm gonna try to. The keyword is if I can, because my combat cave is filled to the brim almost.
There'll be
I
room
get,
for an arcade machine. Don't worry, you got this.
oh, if I can show you right now the house, the upper
Yeah.
house, in other words, I have room everywhere else. It's just we want to look like we're the what is this arcade, in other words, out of this whole entire house. It looks, almost sterile, in other words. But
So I'll tell you something. I got a custom MAME cabinet built. So I did not end up getting the arcade 1-up machine, but I did get 2 of the Mortal Kombat bar stools that Arcade 1-up put out there. And I have them sitting in front of the machine. So it does complement them nicely. And my custom MAME cabinet is cool because in addition to MK1, MK2, and Ultimate MK3, I also got to load it up with 3 more games. Also, Vanilla MK3.
Oh, yeah.
Mortal Kombat 4, and even though it's not an arcade game, Mortal Kombat Trilogy. So being able to play that at an actual arcade cabinet is awesome.
Yeah, a buddy of mine does have something like that. It's like an old Neo Geo cabinet is what he used. So the closest I've gotten to getting an arcade myself is actually getting, well, they're now closed, but it was an arcade repair shop. But they said, like, we have a free cabinet, just come get it or whatever. And they had like some of the stuff for the power, and so you can put your board on or whatever. But the date I was going to try to get it, they were like, yeah, someone came in, tried to strip it for metal and destroy the cabinet or whatever. And I'm like,
that's heartbreaking.
Shit. So, I mean,
but you really have to move fast when you see an opportunity to get something for free, because a lot of people are going to jump on it.
Yeah.
If you have to call out sick for work or whatever, then do it.
I don't know.
If you're in business for yourself, try to rearrange some appointments, reschedule some clients, do whatever. Get there. You're getting free stuff. Rent a truck. Do what you got to do and be the first one there.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's.
But look, you'll have more opportunities to get cool stuff.
Yeah,
for sure you will.
So, we're obviously all MK. In other words, you and I both MK. What is something outside of MK that you're a big fan of outside of MK that you can share with the community?
Okay.
Like,
good question.
So like with me, with WWE and Power Rangers for the nostalgia part.
A lot of people are into that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
For
so
me,
what about you?
For me, this is okay. Anyone who watches my videos probably noticed that I'm using Simpsons clips every once in a while. So Simpsons is a good franchise for me. I like them. And even like going back to the Konami arcade Simpsons game, like that was a well done game. So even on even on some of the newer ones, like I played the Simpsons on the Wii, that was also fun. So Simpsons is great, the cartoon show, and even some of the comics. Like I loved it when Simpsons did a Mortal Kombat reference. Buy me Bone Storm or go to hell.
Oh yeah, I remember it. And I think there was Bart was trying to buy the game or something like that, or he was trying to buy.
No, he was shoplifting it, dude. 5-finger discount.
So obviously, how long ago I haven't seen that episode or that clip, in other words. But I'm sure anybody out there can YouTube it nowadays.
If you're trying to do all this Mortal Kombat stuff to hype yourself up for the new movie, do yourself a favor. Go back and catch that episode.
Yeah. So do me a favor. If you want to, you don't have to. If you have that clip somewhere, or if I find it, we'll put it down.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Putting copyrighted clips on YouTube is like dangerous now. Just put up a screenshot. Yeah. Put up a screenshot for this part.
Yeah, I'm gonna see what I can find. In other words, but unfortunately, like I said,
I can find a screenshot and send it to you. Like no problem.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So
another one, and this is also sort of connected to Mortal Kombat. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I used to be a huge Ninja Turtles fan before I was introduced to Mortal Kombat. Maybe before Mortal Kombat was out.
Cartoon, yeah.
Yeah, and even like the live action movies, which is kind of cool. Because there is a Mortal Kombat connection there, considering that Dan Pesina and Ho Sung Pak and Rich DeVizio were actually in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze.
Yep. And then I think if I recall, they have pictures that they can sign for you if you go on their eBay site and so
I've got at least 2. Someone did some fan art of like Raphael fighting Scorpion. I'll send you a picture of that one that you can put up here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, there is cool stuff. There is awesome stuff. So Ninja Turtles and Simpsons are probably two of my biggest favorite franchises beyond Mortal Kombat.
I gotcha. Okay. Awesome. Well, we brought up about the movie coming out here in less than a month.
April 16th.
April 16th is
one day after tax day. So you got something bad and then something good.
well, the good thing is I heard that we got an extension for everybody until May. So technically, maybe we got a mercy from the government, in other words, or the IRS. It sounds like so. But going to the movie, in other words,
I know for all the Europeans watching this, what we're talking about makes no sense.
Yeah, it's like what is it? What is it they talk about?
Yeah, yeah, the tax collectors guys,
the bad guys. So you had a video of you reviewing the trailer. Since that time, how many times you would say that you've watched that trailer or those the TV clips, in other words?
Yeah, I know. I definitely went and saw all the TV clips. And I'll tell you what I also like to do is look at other people's reactions to the trailer and see some of the things that they mentioned that I didn't, or see some of the things that they're not talking about that I did. It's just kind of cool to get different perspectives and see what the trailer means to different people. I mean, some of the, I did a real quick video. I did what was mine? 3 or 4 minutes long. It was very short, but I tried to just pack it with a lot of references to other stuff to show what I meant. On the other hand, you'll see people dissecting this video for 45 minutes long. So there's different ways to break down this trailer.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing one, but the day when the trailer hit, in other words, that was the day when my father passed. So it was one of those that it was probably my saving grace, I would say, for that day to at least give me some glimmer of hope, in other words.
That's a really rough, man. That is a really rough time. The timing of that movie and that trailer was always going to be connected to when you lost your father, man.
Yeah. So and I'll just share real quick, and I probably shared it online already too. But one of the things that I'm going to hold that usually we have someone has a memory with an MK, like I have with those collectibles that I have that are one of a kind. So my memory of my MK memory with my father would have been playing MK3 in another room of the house. They were right outside in the living room, and they're hearing for the first time babalities. And I hear them coming at me, or what are you doing in there? Are you having babies? Because
are you playing a game where two characters get together and make a baby?
Yeah, something like that, in other words. And so that's my memory, besides them purchasing the game, obviously, for me, or taking me to the arcades, Aladdin's Castle, Cool Crest that's around here, playing, going to the, well, we never got an MK4 Road Tour that came through here, but seeing those times that my father and my mother, they took me to those arcade shops. Those are going to be some of those memories I'm going to hold and cherish.
And it goes back to what we were talking about before, is building those memories, those experiences. Some of my favorite memories are going to the Mortal Kombat Live tour.
You're working on trying to get that video, but
yeah, if anybody gets a recording, a complete recording of the live tour, I have $100 that I will give them, just no questions asked. You want PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, whatever. Someone produces a recording, 100 smackers in it for you.
Yeah, and I recall, I went with my mother because I was only a teenager at that time when it happened, or early teen, and I recall sitting on the floor level, almost close to the stage, and then we eventually moved, try to get closer to the stage, because obviously then they didn't really care about your ticket or whatever.
Yeah, it's just getting you into the door, then after that, you're good. Yeah. Right.
So I recall, and I still have my items from there, and I'm actually going to get this Monday, if I recall, the pendant, in other words, the live tour, if you actually got the item from the deal from the tour, it's a light up item, and it's
hang on, let me see. I think I have it right here. 1 second.
Okay. Yeah, that guy right there. And that was one that you could just like put on your shirt, right? That slips on your shirt, or does it actually?
Yeah, I don't think it does that. But it does stand up by itself if you want to set it down on your table or your desk or whatever. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So, I think didn't you? I think you. That's how I found out from you the a gentleman who kind of recreates the pins, and that was one of the things that he has.
Total debacle.
Yeah.
Total debacle is doing
So
that. Yeah.
shout out to him. I'm sure he's following the both of us on Twitter as we post this. In other words, so a shout out to him. But I'm getting his the recreation or the pin, the actual physical pin.
Yeah, you should. It's amazing.
I'll post a picture on it. So whenever
Now,
I get
do you
him,
have a big Mortal Kombat pin collection?
no, and that's one other the things I was gonna see. Obviously, they people can come to your Twitter and see your pictures and our Instagram. What got you into that? Like what to do that?
So BBCRE8 or BB Create, I think that's how that's pronounced. BB Create did one of Sub-Zero, and the spinal cord is like dangling. They added like a little white chain onto the pin, and it was just so cool. And then they made like a Scorpion one where the fire like slides out.
Yeah.
But it was that Sub-Zero one that got me into the whole pin thing. Now I had a gold pin that Midway made back in like '95 to promote MK3, which I think you got for pre-ordering the game. You probably have that one, right?
Yeah, it's almost like a penny size, if I recall, or maybe quarter size or nickel size. I think it's nickel size at least.
But penny or nickel, it's definitely right in there. And then they made a silver version of that too, which you could only get if you were a member of the Combat Club. So those are the two pins that I had, was the gold one and the silver one. And for years, that was it until that Sub-Zero one came along. And then I just kind of got into it from there. It's like, well, yeah, why haven't I been collecting all these pins?
Dang.
And I've had a lot of luck online just tracking down people who, pins were discontinued or whatever. And I found somebody who was like, well, I have this one pin and I'm going to sell it or I'll trade it or whatever. So I had a lot of luck tracking down some of these old pins. I'm only missing I think I have over 200 pins now, and I'm only missing about 20 that I know of.
I need to. I bet I don't have quite as much as that, but I'm pretty sure I know. Like even the buttons that they had, so like the promotional buttons that they had for Ultimate MK3, they had some for the movies. I know I collected some of those, so those. They
even made one for MK Special Forces.
They did. I haven't seen it.
E3. It was like an E3 giveaway. That one's hard to get now, but yeah, so the buttons are cool, but it's not easy to put them up on a pin board.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have the official ones. The problem with collecting buttons is tons of people make them. They're not expensive. You can get a button for like $1.50, $2 on something. And
if you got the image, you can recreate it. I mean,
well, yeah, but it's like you can go to Redbubble or TeePublic or any of these sites, Cafe Press. You get millions and millions of unofficial buttons, but I don't really collect them. The official ones, yeah, but after that, not really.
Yeah, for sure.
But the enamel pins, those are the fun ones.
Yeah, I've been the Fig pins. I don't know if you got any of those yet.
Sub-Zero and Scorpion.
Yeah, and so far that's the only two that they have of MK, but they made an Injustice Harley Quinn, but that's it.
And Ed Boon tweeted on a couple of these pins too. He tweeted the Scorpion one. He tweeted the Harley Quinn one. He even tweeted, this is not a Fig pin, but he even tweeted the E.T. Goro mashup. Fatal E.T.
Yeah, and that's one thing about following Ed Boon is either the nostalgic that he shares or the it's
just any cool Mortal Kombat thing that he comes across that somebody's doing, like maybe a fun video, a fun picture, a fun fan art, whatever. Yeah. He'll like share that with people. He'll kind of give people a nice shout out and say, hey, everyone check this out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and we'll see.
Sometimes there will be a cool video too, like a bunch of fans cosplaying as MK characters and all like dancing and stuff, or dressing up as a Mortal Kombat character, then doing elevator scares. I don't know. There's so many random fun things out there.
Yeah, I remember that elevator scare with the Sub-Zero, the guy who dressed up as Sub-Zero, and he was scaring all those people, and yeah.
Sometimes he would like pop out of a trash can. Like,
Yeah.
who's expecting that?
Yeah, those are the ones that gives you that quick, MK fix, in other words. So
Yep.
awesome. Well, that's all my question. I mean, did you? Well, I guess I don't want to flip the interview around, obviously. Um, so going back to the movie question, in other words, um, are you going to go to the theater? Are you going to risk going to a theater, or are you going to
Yeah,
get
because
yourself
by
on?
then I'll have my second shot. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
Are
go
you
to the
gonna?
theater.
So is it crazy to say for someone like maybe me? I'm not saying I'm going to. I'm gauging the prices of renting out a theater. Would you go as far as something like that?
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm flying up to Chicago. Me and a lot of the Mortal Kombat Online staff, CC Shadow, Scott Howell, Dark Bishop, Survived Combatants, Fatal Cade.
Yeah.
And shout outs to everybody in the Mortal Kombat Online staff who's going to this thing. Yeah, I'll be flying out to the theater, and we'll the rest of us will be seeing it as a group together. We're not going to go so far as to rent out the whole theater, but we are going to go see it as a group of us. And yeah, I'm very excited about it.
Be very interested to see. Yeah, I'm sure you're going to probably do a review of it, with at least, if not yourself, or maybe some of the folks from MK Online. Be interested to see what your thoughts are. One thing that I did point back to what you were talking about, the reaction video. The one thing that I did not notice when I watched it, but then re-watched it because you pointed it out, was that whole Shao Kahn statue and that love. It's like,
Yeah,
wait,
it
what?
just jumps out at you, doesn't it?
It's, well, now that you pointed it out, I'm like, every time I see that part, I see that love, and I'm like, wait, Shao Kahn love, really? Like, someone's got to be pranking us with that. I would be interested to see if the producer made that as a haha for Shao
Yeah,
Kahn.
someone's got to interview the director and ask him, like, hey, are you guys aware of this? Was this just a coincidence, or did you sneak this through on purpose? Like, what is the deal with that? Are these supposed to be ancient symbols with no real meaning, that just making stuff up that's fun, and oops, we accidentally did this? Or was this like snuck in there on purpose? Guess
Yeah,
we'll find out one of these days. Someone's gonna ask him.
so I hope someone, yeah. It's one of those. It's like, now leading up to the movie, we're now finding out there's the other characters. Well, we kind of knew, like the fake pictures of, like, maybe of who Rico. We think that that's who that is behind Melina and one of those. But then the other one was Cabal, and I'm curious to see how many other characters that we didn't get to see that would be referenced. I know when they were starting the film, in the background they had, the what was it, a Sindel, it was like a marketplace, and it was like I forgot what was the thing. It was like something like reference characters picture.
Right.
And
Was it like a coffee shop or something?
yeah, it was like a super, or a market, and then on the one
Yes.
side it's like a cola or something like that, and the other
I
one
hope you
was,
just find a picture of that and put it up here while we're talking about it.
yeah,
It'll
I'm
be
gonna,
a fun thing.
I shared it. Oh God, how long ago was it? It was like when they started filming last
Yeah,
year.
it was like one of the first public pictures that came out about this whole thing.
Yeah.
But I really think that like Cabal is a good character to show, because if you want to show Kano in his element, have him hanging out with other Black Dragon members, as before he leaves the gang to say, all right, I'm gonna go to this Mortal Kombat thing now with Shang Tsung. You guys keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, be interested to see what the story is like. I reached out to the actor on Twitter and asked him. I was like, hey, I don't want to have spoiler questions or whatever, but he said not at this time. Maybe at a later time or something like that, which I hope that can happen, and then maybe that like,
Well, that's cool that you got a response either way, even if he couldn't directly answer you.
Yeah, so those are one things about. And then, did you see recently the actors from the game? So, like, oh my God, their names are not coming up. Richard DeValzio and John Turk had made a video about wanting to be in the movie as extras or something.
I saw that, yeah, but nobody had approached them about doing it. But I think that would have been a good idea. Like,
Well, I mean, they're coming up
did that
with,
like in Ghostbusters, you know what I mean? It's just like a good, it's just a way to show goodwill, like towards, hey, this is kind of the old generation. Now we're doing our new thing, but we do
Kinda
want to
like a
give a
handoff.
nod to the OG cast. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, if it all goes well and they're making either spin-offs or sequels, I mean, I'm sure they probably have now seen it, hopefully, or has shared it enough.
I hope they're
and-
considering it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll definitely see. Well, it's been fun. I'm gonna wrap
Yeah,
up here.
we're at about an hour now, so this is probably a good stopping off point.
Yeah, I mean, we can go on and on. I mean, that's why we can have a round two of an interview down the line or even after the movie. I mean, heck.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, we didn't even get into gameplay and like memorizing all the fatalities and the special moves. There's like so much that we could touch on with Mortal Kombat. So yeah, I'm definitely down for round two at some point.
Sweet. Well, I appreciate that, man. Well, tell the wife I said hello. I'm sure she hounds you.
Likewise.
Hopefully she doesn't give you the kisses for me, in other words, that I tell her to do. But that's
No, the only one she does is the kiss of death.
Hopefully she doesn't see this video and then she looks at you with that grin, in other words.
What
are you talking
The
about?
Molina grin.
Well, Justin, it's been a pleasure.
Hey, likewise, Fred. Tell the wife I said hi also.
I will.
Hopefully, your daughter is in bed now.
It sounds like it. I mean, take it off my thing here. I'm probably either talking loud or so, but I heard a door shut, so. But anyways, yeah, we'll. Oh, bonus. So the thing about, and I'm sure you probably saw this, and I think you even talked about it, the cartoon series that they're talking about that got leaked.
Yes, MK Ultra Girls.
Is that what it's called? Okay. So I was telling my wife about it, and she just stared at me. It's like, what? No. That's the first words that she said to sharing that with my daughter. But she's already watching like superhero girl, the DC superhero girls.
It really is similar. It's in that
just,
vein, yeah.
Yeah, and so I was like, I'll watch it with her. But do you really think? I mean, I don't. When do you think that they're going to either announce that, or when? I mean, because do you think that they're waiting for the movie to?
I don't know. I kind of got the impression that this was a canceled project. I kind of got.
Was it?
Well, I think it is because I didn't read the whole 4chan leak, the original post of where this first went. But I do remember reading that they had been pitching a couple different shows. One was about Johnny Cage, where he goes through the entire first 3 games, not realizing that it's real, thinking the whole thing is just some elaborate movie setup.
That would be good to watch.
I think, yeah, and then they were going to do a Sindel episode, but then MK11 Sindel retcon came out, and it was totally different. So they had to like scrap that whole idea. So I got the feeling that this was something that had been on the works like a while back. And I think ultimately it's not going to happen. But I mean, yeah, look, there's room in Mortal Kombat for more stuff. Like, look at how much stuff there is with a huge franchise like DC superheroes. Look at how many spin-offs and separate universes they have. Like the CW verse is its own thing, and the DC EU is its own thing, and Injustice is its own thing. And they have like DC superhero girls, and they have tons of other series that are all running simultaneously. In fact, we're going to see later on in the year 2 different versions of Batman on screen at the same time that are unrelated. They're like separate universes from each other. So some people are like crapping all over this new Mortal Kombat show, Ultra Girls. But even if it's not your favorite thing, Mortal Kombat is big enough that it can do these different things, and let the fans who like it. And if you don't like it, then tune out and do something different, because I think Mortal Kombat has enough that it could be like a multiverse, and you could have these different incarnations of Mortal Kombat, and some people are going to have a lot of fun with it. That looked like it could have been an honestly enjoyable show. I'm saying that totally unironically. That would be a cool thing.
Yeah, I was hoping that would be just a leak that would eventually lead into production, but from what I'm hearing, because I didn't read too much into it, I just saw like, okay.
I still hope that it could be a real thing.
Yeah, so fingers crossed. We'll see.
Yeah. Warner Brothers, don't pull the plug on that one.
Yeah, if Warner Brothers is watching this, but we'll see. Well, Justin, we'll talk soon. Obviously, we hit up each other on Twitter all the time. In other words, so your Twitter handle Tabmok99.
Tabmok99, same thing on YouTube. Tabmok99, pretty easy to find. If you just punch it into any social media site, you'll get me.
Yep. Yep. For definitely, and I'll have the link or description in the link in the description below. Let me talk right because actually, yeah. And then obviously my other link for my hobby will be in that description as well too. So make sure you guys subscribe to our channels. Check out his Justin's, or I'm sorry, let me say it right, Tabok99's previous videos. And if you are new to the MK lore, in other words, and want some history, Justin is definitely your guy here. In other words, to review the past of the Mortal Kombat and where it was and where it is and kind of where we're going. In other words, it'd be interesting to see where the lore takes us now. Yeah, so.
Yeah, down the line we've got MK12, of course. In the in the immediate future, we've got this new movie coming out. So a lot of fun stuff for us lore buffs to get into.
That's right.
Faisal, I wanted to thank you again for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been a blast, man.
Yeah, hopefully everyone has watched this to this long. If anything, we'll say friendship to whoever watched this until the very end. I'm going to be probably doing a contest here, so yeah, I'll do a separate video of announcing that contest. Be very interesting to what I give away, but subscribers, that's who I'm going to be gearing it towards, and hopefully get some subscribers, and hopefully that's the end goal here, right? With YouTube is to get those subscribers to show interest in your channel, and maybe I'll get
better. When you do these fun videos, it's good to have people watching them. Yeah, check them out. Yeah, check out some of the past videos I've done on Mortal Kombat lore. Check out some of the stuff that Freisal's been doing on his channels. All good stuff.
So, all right, guys.
Well, dude, you've had some kick-ass interviews too yourself in the past. I mean, you've had James Fink on the show. Who are some of the other people you've been talking to?
So, oh my God, I can't think of his name. He was the original artist who created the logo or helped create the logo.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God, he's gonna kick my ass. In other words, if I can't say his name. God, I'm gonna. He's probably right now yelling in the comments down below or something. Sorry, Paul.
No, seriously, just clip that part out. Just show a picture of his social media page, and then you clip out the audio so nobody will know.
No, it's one of those. I'm just, yeah.
Shout out to Paul Niemeyer, who originally designed the Mortal Kombat logo. He's awesome.
And he, shared and had a way to share. Fans can have a piece of that history. In other words,
from the original title when it was Dragon Attack.
Dragon Attack.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, well, thank you again for doing this interview, Justin. I really appreciate it. Obviously you've been a great brother to me, in other words, knowing you this long, and hopefully we'll get together here soon when post-pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Post-pandemic.
I think there's light at the end of the tunnel now.
There is. And so, everyone who watched, thank you guys. I'm going to go ahead.